All right, let's dive into this explainer. Have you ever wanted to talk about a reality that doesn't actually exist? Or maybe, rewrite history to fix a past mistake? Well, today we're unlocking the secrets of what I like to call multiverse communication by mastering English conditionals. These are basically the ultimate grammar tools. They let you bend time, create alternate realities, and express really complex hypothetical thoughts. So get comfortable and let's get started. Here's what we're looking at today. First up, alternative realities, then facts and future possibilities, imagining the present, changing the past, bending time, and finally, we'll wrap up by testing your knowledge. Section 1, Alternative Realities, going beyond the simple if. So conditionals are absolutely crucial if you want to speak like a native. They aren't just dry textbook rules. They're your everyday conversational tool set. Think of them as a way to link a specific condition directly to a specific result. Once you master this, you literally gain the superpower to describe imaginary situations, deep past regrets, and subtle cause and effect relationships that your basic present and past tenses just cannot handle. Moving right along to Section 2, Facts and Future Possibilities. These are our grounded conditionals. Okay, look at how the zero conditional acts exactly like a mathematical formula for absolute facts. It's if plus a present tense condition followed by a present tense result. For example, if you heat water to 212 degrees, it boils. It happens every single time. There's zero guesswork here, no imagination needed. When that condition is met, the result is a guaranteed scientific reality. And this actually brings us to a super common trap that trips up a ton of English learners. And that's the difference between if and when. You want to use if for a possible condition, something that might happen, like if it rains. But you need to switch over to when for an expected or habitual result. Take Jonesy the dog, for instance. When Jonesy sees an ardilla, a squirrel, he barks. That's not a possibility, right? It's a habit. Every single time he sees the squirrel, the barking happens. Now, as we step into the first conditional, which we use for real future possibilities, we hit a massive pitfall, especially if you're a native Spanish speaker. In Spanish, it's pretty common to use a future tense right after see. But in English, you absolutely cannot put will inside that if clause. Take a look at the incorrect example. If I will study. Yeah, no way. The correct way is, if I study, I will pass. Your if clause has to stay locked in the simple present tense, even when we are talking about a future outcome. That is absolutely key. All right, Section 3, Imagining the present with the second conditional. I absolutely love this example because it perfectly captures a totally unreal, highly unlikely present scenario. If I won the lottery, I would marry Ana de Armas. I mean, is the speaker currently winning the lottery? No. Are they marrying a famous actress? Sadly, no. They're just daydreaming. They're using the second conditional to completely rewrite their current everyday reality. So how exactly do we build this daydream? If you look closely at these rules, we form the condition with if plus the simple past tense, and then the result clause uses would or could plus the base verb. Now, here is the absolute most important takeaway, and I really need you to hear this. The past tense in the if clause does not mean past time. We are not talking about yesterday. We use the past tense here just to show distance from reality. It mathematically signals to the person listening, hey, what I'm about to say isn't actually true right now. And that leads us to an amazing little quirk in English grammar known as the were rule. When we use the verb to be in these unreal scenarios, we don't actually use was, we use were for all subjects. A real past statement is I was rich, but an unreal present statement becomes if I were a student. Or think about it like this. If aliens weren't afraid of humans, they would reveal themselves. It's the special subjunctive form that basically screams, hey, this is pure imagination. Here's another spot where your translation habits can really get you into trouble. Spanish speakers often try to use the imperfect subjunctive here, or they accidentally default to the present tense because, well, they're thinking about the present moment. But look at this incorrect example. If I have more money, I would travel. That's a total mismatch. English requires that simple past tense to push the whole idea into the realm of the hypothetical. It has to be, if I had more money, I would travel. Moving on to Section 4, Changing the Past. Enter the third conditional. Notice how this statement completely bends reality. Humans would have colonized Mars already if Elon Musk had lived in the 1700s. We're taking a condition that definitely didn't happen in the past, Elon Musk living in the 18th century, and we're imagining a completely different past outcome, like colonizing Mars centuries ago. The actual reality is the exact opposite of what the sentence says. This specific structure is your absolute go-to for expressing regrets or missed opportunities. We form it using if plus the past perfect, so that's had plus a past participle. And then the result uses would have or could have plus another past participle. For example, if I had studied, I would have passed. Translation, I didn't study and I didn't pass. Or here's another fun one. If you had been born in Spain, you would have spoken Spanish with a lisp. You've got to be incredibly careful with your would-haves, though. You want to completely avoid the Spanish habría trap. Because Spanish uses a specific conditional form, it is so tempting to just put would have in both halves of the sentence. But look at the incorrect example. If I would have known, that is a major, major error. You have to make sure you never put would have inside the if clause itself. It's always, if I had known, I would have helped. Okay, Section 5, Bending Time and Implied Rules. Let's talk about mixed conditionals. This is where time becomes completely fluid. A regret or a decision from, say, 5 years ago can directly explain your situation today, bridging the gap right between the past and the present. Just look at the structure. If plus past perfect, which is our unreal past, mixed with would plus the base verb, our unreal present. If I had studied medicine in the past, I would be a rich doctor now, in the present. You're literally mixing the third and second conditionals to perfectly describe your current reality. Okay, I want you to take a mental screenshot of this matrix right now. Seriously, if you need to, pause the explainer and look at it. This table is the ultimate cheat sheet for navigating every possible reality in English grammar. You've got your 0 for absolute facts, your first for real future possibilities, your second for daydreaming in the present, and your third for regretting the past. If you memorize these formulas, you will never get lost in the grammatical multiverse again. All right, Section 6. Let's test your knowledge. Here's your very first challenge. If you blank, I would have brought my friends to your house to watch the game on TV. So is it A, hadn't been studying, B, hadn't studied, or C, didn't study? Look really closely at the result clause, would have brought, and think about which past-altering structure fits perfectly into that blank. And the answer is A, hadn't been studying. If you guessed A, fantastic job. You successfully navigated the third conditional to describe an unreal past situation. We use the past perfect continuous here because the studying was an ongoing action that prevented the friends from coming over in the first place. Let's try just one more. If I blank more free time, I would travel more often. Is it A, have, B, had, or C, will have? Think deeply about this one for a second. Is the speaker describing a reality where they actually possess free time right now, or are they imagining a completely different present? Which conditional is that? The correct answer is B, had. You use the second conditional with the simple past tense to dream about a present that just isn't true yet. You're actively imagining an alternate reality where you aren't so busy. And that actually brings us to the end of our explainer today. Conditionals really give you the ultimate power to hypothesize, regret, and dream out loud. So my final question to you is this. Now that you hold the keys to all these different timelines, what kind of reality are you going to build with your English skills next? Keep practicing, and I'll catch you next time.